The other thing that happens is we have, this little guy doesn't have his rib cage, but we have 12 ribs, the last 2 being floating, and then we have our diaphragm that supports the rib cage. Now, as a pregnancy proceeds, the diaphragm is usually a breathing muscle, right? It helps us breathe. There's lots of attachments here, internal, external, obliques. However, as your rib cage expands, and it does, it kind of comes out laterally and lifts up to 5 centimeters to allow for the protruding belly. And the diaphragm becomes more of a abdominal muscle rather than a breathing muscle, because as baby grows, baby is compressing diaphragm. Breathing comes a little bit more difficult, and so diaphragm can be you can get more hiccups, more kind of catches underneath your ribs, and we'll talk about that postpartumly, what we can do for that as far as poses. So just again remind folks, take long mindful breaths. The diaphragm's being compressed, so just remind them to continue to be with their breath. With the elevation of the rib cage, what happens is there's a huge bundle of nerves right in this little triangle here, in between our this little divot here, right between our collarbone and our big muscle group here, our upper traps. It's called the brachial-plexus. It comes off of these nerves in our neck, and it creates a big, like if you would conceptualize a big yarn ball, that's kind of what it is. There's a big little plexus or ball of nerves that's right here. Now what happens as our rib cage expands with a pregnant mom is you can get some compression, because the first rib, everything just elevates here. The first rib is in there, and the first rib inflates and deflates with breath. And some pregnant mothers have carpal tunnel syndromes because of that. Because of this elevation of ribs, we get feeling of lost sensation in arms. So if anybody in your class is telling you that they are experiencing that, some of the chest openers and the pec stretches that we did today on our stomach with our arms out to the side are really good for that. Lots of openers here. Heart openers, restorative bridge, and you know, with bolsters and stuff to keep us nice and open in our chest are really good. You know, the one on the wall, and Jennifer, if you can help me, I'm not certain of the name, the one where we just put our hand on the wall and we twist towards the center of the room.
That's what I call it.
Okay. Yeah, all of those kind of nice, nice chest openers for folks that are experiencing any sort of nerve sensation changes in their arms. All of these things can happen with pregnancy. The other thing that happens, and this is kind of a more obvious one, our center of gravity moves, right? We've got this protruding, growing baby, and your center of mass is lower, and it becomes more forward. Now, to accommodate that, what happens to our spine? So, exactly. So we have this nice little S-curve here. Now, as baby grows, what tends to happen is we become more lordotic or more curvy in our low back, and we do this as baby grows. Okay, so what happens here is low back muscles get quite tight because they're being contracted. Abdominals are harder to connect to because they're being stretched as baby's growing. Okay, and so then we tend to do the hanging on our joints, right? And I'll just do the you know, and I'm sure Jennifer's gone over standing postures, but it becomes very, very apparent. And I found myself, I have a new little guy, he's 5 months today, and I had the opportunity to practice with Jennifer throughout my whole entire pregnancy. It was wonderful. It was really nice to be able to do that. But I noticed as I was growing, I would tend to really fall into this, where you're really just hanging on this kind of hinge right here, and you lock out your knees.